wonder murmur where whispers weave the heart.
Hello, little hearts. A new whisper begins. In a village on a sun-drenched hill lived a kind and beautiful girl named Beauty. She had a heart as bright as the morning sun and a spirit as gentle as a summer breeze. But her two older sisters were as selfish and vain as she was kind. Their father was a wealthy merchant, and they lived a life of luxury. But Beauty was happy with simple things: a book to read, a quiet walk in the garden, and her father's love. One day, the family's world turned upside down. News arrived that the father's ships had been lost in a terrible storm. Their great wealth was gone. The older sisters cried and complained, their greedy hearts breaking over lost riches. But Beauty comforted her father, holding his hand and whispering, "We still have each other, Papa. That is all that matters." A few weeks later, a single ray of hope appeared. One of the missing ships had arrived safely in port. Before he left, the father asked his daughters, "What would you like me to bring you, my darlings?" The sisters immediately demanded extravagant gifts. "A diamond ring," one cried. "A ruby stone and a gold bracelet," cried the other. He turned to Beauty. "And you, my sweet, what would you like?" Beauty smiled. "Just a rose, Papa. A single beautiful rose." The father's heart was heavy as he arrived at the port to find his ship a wreck. He was a poor man once more. On the long, lonely journey home, he found himself lost in a cold, dark forest. A storm raged, and as thunder cracked through the sky, he saw a magnificent castle. It seemed to appear from nowhere, a beacon of light in the darkness. The gates stood open, a silent invitation. He entered and found the castle surprisingly warm and bright. A dining table overflowed with a feast, and a fire crackled merrily in the hearth. He ate, weary and alone, and then found a cozy bed, where he slept more soundly than he had in months. The next morning he felt a new sense of hope. This castle must belong to a kind fairy, he thought. As he left, he saw a rose garden. He remembered Beauty's simple wish, and with a grateful heart, reached out and plucked a single red rose. A terrible roar shook the ground, and from behind a tree, a fearsome beast emerged. He was a terrifying creature with horns and claws, but his eyes, filled with fury, held a deep sadness. "I gave you shelter and food," the beast snarled, his voice a low rumble. "And you repay my kindness by stealing my most precious rose? There is a price for what you have done. You must bring me the first person you see on your way home, or I will come for you and imprison you forever." The father, heartbroken, arrived home. The only person waiting for him was Beauty. Her eyes met his, and a terrible realization dawned. He told her everything, his voice shaking with regret. The older sisters were furious. "This is all your fault, Beauty," they screamed. "If you hadn't asked for a rose, this never would have happened." But Beauty's heart was filled with only love for her father. "No, father," she said, her voice filled with a quiet strength. "I will go. I will go and stay with the beast, so you can be free." And so father and daughter returned to the castle. The beast met them at the door, his form huge and imposing. Beauty's heart hammered in her chest, but she stood tall. "Will you stay here voluntarily?" The beast rumbled, his voice surprisingly gentle. "Yes," she replied, "I will." Beauty hugged her father goodbye and watched him leave with a heavy heart. She then began to explore the castle, her fear slowly turning to wonder. Every wish she had seemed to come true. A beautiful room filled with books appeared for her, just as she had always dreamed. Every evening, the beast would come to the dining hall, asking to join her for dinner. His manners were perfect, his conversation kind and thoughtful. She learned that he was not a monster at all, but a kind and lonely soul. He spoke of his love for books and music, and a beautiful connection began to grow between them. She found herself looking past his frightening appearance to see the wonderful heart within. One evening, he asked her to marry him. "No," she said softly, "I cannot." The beast's eyes filled with sorrow. "I understand," he said, turning away. "You find me too ugly." And he left the hall, a heartbroken figure. As the days turned into weeks, Beauty realized something wonderful. She was not a prisoner in the castle. She was home. She was happy. But then she began to miss her father. One day, she confessed her loneliness to the beast. "Please, can I go home to see my father? Just for a little while?" The beast looked at her, his eyes filled with a deep sadness. "Go," he said, "but promise me you'll be back in 3 days. If you don't return, I will surely die of a broken heart." He gave her a ring, telling her it would transport her back to the castle whenever she took it off. Beauty's visit home was a joyous reunion with her father, but her sisters were filled with jealousy. They tricked her into staying for a 4th day, hoping she would break her promise and the beast would punish her. That night, Beauty had a terrifying nightmare. She saw the beast lying in the garden, sick and weak. She woke up with a start, a powerful wave of emotion rushing through her. She missed him. She loved him. Without a moment's hesitation, she took the ring off her finger. She was instantly transported back to her room. She ran to the garden and found the beast, just as in her dream, lying lifeless on the grass. Tears streamed down her face. "Beast, please, wake up," she cried, rushing to his side. "I'm so sorry I broke my promise. Please wake up. I love you. I want to live in this castle with you forever." Just as the words left her mouth, a shimmering light enveloped them both. The beast's monstrous form began to fade, replaced by a handsome prince. Beauty, stunned, looked at him. "It is me, Beauty," the prince said, his voice now rich and clear. "You have broken the curse. I was once a cruel prince, and a fairy cursed me to remain a beast until I found someone who would love me for my heart, not my looks. If you hadn't told me you loved me, I would have remained an ugly beast forever." Beauty and her prince were married, and they lived happily ever after in the magnificent castle. Their story proved that a good heart and a love that sees beyond appearances are the most precious things in the world.
Wonder murmur, the story departs, yet the whisper imparts.